This one's both simple and complex, but let's just try approaching the whole career.
Break the albums how produced.
Starting with a ferocious offering you might not be ready for if you only know their singles, their ferocious singles. This is a completely feral hole, an open wound. If this were the only whole product, then they'd still have a Hall of Fame-worthy career. The songs aren't yet weighed down by such constructs as structure or which chords are right. It's just a howl of agony. One of the best ones. Slightly breaking my chronology rules for this one because some of its tracks were recorded after the next album, although I guess not written after it. And yeah, its form is of a compilation rather than an album, but most of it is unique material, and the bits that aren't are at least unique recordings. I've placed this here because it kind of tracks the transition between first album whole and the second one. So that's the arc you get through the track list, and it's just an awesome extra slice of both of those things. As their songwriting progresses without losing the vibe of the debut album, they've actually stumbled into an even better product. Here's the album that you'd obviously rank on top. In a landscape where very heavy music was now actually acceptable in the mainstream, Hole have taken the correct approach with that and cashed in on it without losing any dignity at all. The massive increment to their songwriting integrity is down to a little-known fact that I can now reveal. Hole's songs were written by Kurt Cobain's wife. See, somehow this woman can fit her fingers into guitar chords. A woman. How can that be true? You hate women. Turns out Courtney's awesome at it, as are the other women, and one man in Hole, you could credit it all to that man. He did contribute to the songwriting. That would be one that makes sense. You've just chosen the more famous man. If you do your misogyny from a more well-studied perspective, then it would be more credible. It's an itchy and insistent punk album. It's dark as pitch, but it's Hole now doing things that you could maybe sing along to, although you'll never match that scream. Sorry. The EP Ask For It is one of those label tangles where it's released when they've got a new contract, but with their cooperation. Its 6 tracks have 4 covers, 1 live take, 4 radio session versions, and 1 studio recording. Insufficient for my consideration. It's okay. Maybe they could have taught that label into passing the tracks on for Hand Grenade, not that it's lacking, but there's space on the CD. The 90s continue, more years pass between albums. This band has faced a lot of tragedies, but this show's about albums, such as this one. I think the received opinion of this is that they let go a bit. The late 90s brought quite a reality check for rock bands, and their chance at remaining successful. So we got Bubblegum Hole, we got Hole with butter on it, which really is a ridiculous way to describe this very aggressive, crunchy, hard rock music. Maybe it's peanut butter, crunchy peanut butter. On toast, because the fire is still burning in this. No, I don't see a problem with this. I guess if you expected more of the same, then you're not exactly getting that, but you should have expected that from how different the first 2 are. I strongly respect the right to strike a different vibe with each album. I mean, I wish I could manage it. I don't respect throwing out all of your drummers' recordings and getting a studio drummer to replace them. Still, Hole at this point have learned their harmonies. Now it's fit for the public and not just the moshers. That's a good thing. Or at least a fresh thing. It's a broad album. I think it goes past 50 minutes while still being in a punkish format, just offering more. There's more diversity to the sound. It's just thoroughly awesome. Okay, let me explain myself as I lose the last of my street cred. I've thought this through very thoroughly, and I love both of these albums. But this is the one where every track is great. This one you could kind of stop halfway. Celebrity Skin is more original, has more range, and I find it more enduring. And I'm just really into that older and wiser vibe of the kind of come down. So you can leave your dislikes, or at least make them neutrals. Leave them neutral if you want. But I mulled it over a lot and I wasn't sure until today. But I realized it was a kind of imagined peer pressure from the fandom that was tempting me to live through this on top. There you go.
That last single kind of confirmed that they should split.
So look at that, a gem of a career. 3 proper album offerings, although don't disregard this. Spanning the 90s and hitting 3 very distinct vibes, like very separable, you can really tell them apart. But they each offer all that needs to be said within those vibes. That is how to do a career, and that's why this video can end right here. No, please don't. Okay, it gets bad now.
The Courtney solo album is kind of the disaster it's reputed to be, but specifically because of all the good stuff on it that just didn't make its way through production. Find the demos and you'll find the quality. Even then though it wouldn't compare to 90s Hole, there's a total dud track, a retread of Boys on the Radio, but also some good to great songs, a couple of which survive. It remains listenable, but not anywhere near the excellence I mean to discuss in this video. Nobody's Daughter, Let Them Eat the Most Cake, is not a whole album except for the name it somehow says on it. It actually is overproduced and boring and just saddening. It's got all the quantized flaws of artificial Pro Tools rock and only a veneer of the whole aesthetic. Dud tracks and retreads of Boys on the Radio. I could lose my taste for grunge if I put this on again because it insincerely does grunge and it's so bad. The bleakness it conveys is not the bleakness it was going for. The way it's offensive is not from being provocative but just to fans of Hole, unlike the other members of Hole who might have helped it be any good at all. The sound of it is a solo album in disguise as a band album, but it would be bad by that measure too. The demo of that album, which obviously would have been released under Courtney's name, is audible online, and it takes a lot of patience to want to hear a different version of Nobody's Daughter, but it's clearly and immediately a better idea. You've not got that horrible click track drum cutting through every beat, but it does have drums as a full band. It's hardly demos because it's fit for a release. It kind of shows that these songs once had purpose, that she hadn't lost it, and it was just a few years of dreadful decisions that undermined what I could call a finished, worthwhile, and 50% impressive product. These more recent singles show Courtney getting it back, a glimpse of a much better solo career. She still has the same logistical obstacles of the last couple of projects, but she just found the right approach so that keeps her wildness intact and believable. It was meant to be an album at some point, but she's quieted down since, because life is difficult, and that's sad for her, but it's also sad for us because she was onto something.
Oh, I'm back. This must be for me to say that Melissa Aftermar's first album is just one of the best products of the 2000s. I'm not absolutely certain it's right to throw this in with Hole because I do this series based on having songwriters in common. I could have saved this for some kind of compilation episode, but just while I remember this, just pointing it out. She was a creative contributor to Hole, but her own music, wow. Really, like lists of classic albums, you'll see things like Off the Wall. You won't see Aftermar, but you should. Or you should hear it. That's probably a better way to consume music. I've got this fetish for post-grunge, where musicians from the 90s did the surreal act of staying alive into the new millennium, and then still wanted to make the same kind of music, but even louder. Melissa's unique approach to this might be from being a bassist, also a great vocalist, but it's all these odd modes. Maybe a Dorian mode, maybe a Locrian mode. I've not exactly studied what the modes are, but hers is a rock music that breaks those rules, where the bass moves in quite unorthodox steps and the rest of the music follows. Lyrically, it goes from sultry to mythic, and it's the kind of myth I want to believe in. Less so on this second one, tragically. I wish I liked this more. Kind of telling more of a story that was an accompanying film. There's only moments here where Melissa refines what she's really great at. She's kind of followed the waves off the map. And though I just said breaking rules is a good thing, she's just kind of meandering, wandering in this aimless, shaggy dog story. I'm sorry. So yeah, get that. doesn't always learn like that.